Welcome to Unveiling Mythical Legends. Have you ever considered an utterly absurd possibility? This smartphone in your hand might, in the grand timeline of Earth's history, be utterly meaningless. Before we start the episode, remember to subscribe, like, and turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our shows.
Haha, hearing you say that makes me curious. Are you saying that the civilization we think is so advanced is actually just a game the Earth casually knocks down and restarts once it gets bored?
Exactly. People always think human history is a straight upward line, from fire-making to electric lights, always progressing. But if you really look at the evidence buried under the sands, you'll see it might just be a damn sine wave. We could very well be standing at the peak now, and the next reset might be just around the corner.
Hearing you say that makes me start doubting myself, running around every day anxious about the mortgage, the kids, retirement. Maybe I've been way too full of myself.
Exactly. We always think humanity has conquered nature, but that very idea is arrogance itself. It's like an ant living on a spinning globe, believing the rotation of the world exists just to provide it a running track.
Haha, I like that metaphor. In fact, all our daily anxieties, arguments, and desires, compared to the true history of the Earth, are really just child's play.
And have you ever considered that, as far back as 12,000 years ago, in that era we imagine humans were still painting in caves, there might have already existed a group of people far more advanced than us?
Wait, you mean, they could have worn fibers more advanced than ours and wielded energies far more terrifying than nuclear weapons?
Exactly. And then one morning, for a reason so absurdly foolish, they pressed the button that destroyed everything.
This is insane. This isn't a movie, it's like the real-life version of a cold, hard fact.
Can you imagine? In that desolate desert of India, there's a place called Mohenjo-Daro, which literally means Mound of the Dead. When archaeologists first dug into the soil, what they uncovered wasn't just ordinary skeletons, it was entire rows of skeletons arranged like a chessboard. Those people were holding hands, facing death together, as if to say, we all understand, running is meaningless.
Holding hands? You mean, they weren't killed in a war but under some extreme fear they chose to act together?
Exactly. The tests on their bones revealed something even more shocking: extremely high radiation levels, comparable to what the victims of the Hiroshima nuclear bomb experienced. Can you imagine that, thousands of years ago, people went through a disaster of that magnitude?
This is insane. And you also mentioned vitrified, or glass-like, rocks.
Yes, those rocks look like crystals that were instantly melted by fire and then cooled, each one glittering coldly under the desert sun. In nature, such temperatures could only come from a volcanic eruption or a meteor impact, but there's no volcano here, and no meteor crater. The only plausible explanation is that these ancient people experienced a global-scale nuclear catastrophe.
My God. I always thought nuclear weapons were a modern invention, and yet people played with them thousands of years ago? This is just absurd.
Exactly. You see, we spend our whole lives chasing wealth, status, and fame, but in the face of such celestial fire, it's all meaningless. Civilization's fragility is far more astonishing than you can imagine. Your anxieties today, compared to those hand-in-hand people facing death with calm, are just child's play.
Hearing you say that, I suddenly feel all my daily worries are so trivial. Mortgages, kids' exams, retirement, in the face of temperatures of thousands of degrees, they're completely insignificant.
And you have to understand, this kind of destruction isn't an accident, it's part of the cycle of civilization. In Buddhism, there's a concept called creation, persistence, decay, and emptiness. Every civilization goes through this cycle: it's born, it flourishes, it decays, and eventually collapses completely. It's a natural law, not a fate anyone can resist.
Wow, that sounds so fatalistic but also sobering. So the technology and resources we have now, are they just a replay of those ancient games?
Exactly. Think about it, we believe we're so clever, inventing nuclear weapons, mastering energy, but it's all just part of the cycle. The arrogance and greed of civilization are like viruses hidden in our genes. Every few tens of thousands of years, they erupt and completely reset society.
So you're saying the story of Mohenjo-Daro is also a warning that our modern anxieties are just a miniature version of a civilizational reset?
Exactly. Think about it. Our daily anxieties over money, status, health, or children, compared to those holding hands under the scorching heat, are essentially the same: an obsession with controlling the outside world. The tighter you cling today, the more painful the breaking tomorrow.
Haha, that's such a vivid metaphor. So you're saying we should learn to let go and shift our focus inward, rather than on external wealth and fame.
Exactly. Those ancient people, in their final moments, were perhaps thinking, if I can speak one more gentle word to those around me, even if it's late, it's worth it. Compassion is stronger than anything. It changes the heart more than any weapon.
So what we truly need to do isn't control the world, but care for our own hearts. A little more kindness each day, a little more peace. It's like planting an oasis inside ourselves.
Exactly. Civilizations may collapse, technology may destroy, but the goodness, compassion, and wisdom in our hearts can never be burned away.
What about that epic Indian text, the Mahabharata? I remember it describes some really strange weapons.
Exactly. Seen through a modern perspective, it's practically a nuclear weapons manual. One weapon, called the Agni-astra, is described in the text as a pillar of lightning, as bright as 10,000 suns rising at once. Elephants burned, rivers boiled, soldiers' hair fell out, food became poisoned, and birds fell from the sky.
Wait a minute, that's basically a nuclear explosion. How could ancient people have imagined hair falling out or food poisoning?
Exactly, that's the paradox. If they'd never seen a nuclear blast, how could they describe it so precisely? Perhaps this is evidence of the cycles of civilization. Much of the technology we have today is just a reenactment of ancient games.
So what we think of as innovation is really just rebuilding on the ruins left by those who came before us?
Exactly. And that's a reminder that what we should truly cherish isn't technology or wealth, but our compassion and wisdom. Civilizations may collapse, but the goodness and clarity in our hearts will never melt away.
Hearing you say that, I feel like all the daily anxieties, arguments, and need to control, it's not worth it. What truly matters is keeping compassion and clarity for my family and myself.
Exactly. When you stop trying to control others, they can't control you. When you let go of attachment to material things, they instead become your tools. That's freedom, and that's truly living in the present.
So, the rise and fall of civilizations, the power of technology, they're all just the backdrop. What really matters is how we awaken within this cycle and take care of our own hearts.
Exactly. We don't need to be heroes, nor do we need to change history. All we need is, in our daily lives, to resolve conflicts with compassion, plant blessings with good intentions. That is our true victory within the cycles of civilization.
After hearing this whole history and philosophy, all I want to say is, let's add a little more kindness and a little more peace every day. That's more important than anything else.
Exactly. And if you enjoyed this content, remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and share it with your friends, so more people can explore and reflect on this strange and absurd world together.